and welcome to the Library Loudhailer, the monthly podcast of the National Library of New Zealand, Te Puna, Mātauranga or Aotearoa. My name is Mary Hay, and together with Sean McMahon we'll be sharing some of the unique voices and stories from our library staff and collections.
Today our guest is Ulu Afaese, who works as a content analyst for digitalpacific.org in the National Library. And before that, Ulu worked as a librarian in the Alexander Turnbull Library. Talofa Ulu, and welcome to the Loudhailer.
Yeah, cheers, Sean. Maloso for my langi. Just hello to everyone out there who's listening.
So Ulu, can you tell us a bit about how you got into the world of libraries?
I'd have to say it started as a child.
Okay.
Yeah, I think education was important to mum and dad. So there were times where we couldn't really afford books, so Dad would take us to the library. So we'd spend some Saturdays there, or we'd go after school as well. But also, my school librarian at the time was quite helpful as well. So that made me really enjoy going to the library.
Is this up in Auckland?
Yeah, this is in Auckland. So I'm from West Auckland.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd go to the local library in Massey and, would spend a lot of time there reading, going on computers, etc. Yeah, no, it's just a fun space, a safe space. Yeah, it was cool.
So your family is from Western Samoa as opposed to American Samoa?
No, so my family are from Samoa. So they immigrated here in the I'd say in the 80s.
Yeah.
Late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, and they they came over and established, because they were the first ones, one of the first ones to move over and to establish a life here so that others could come over. Yeah, so I think that informs my job, actually. Yeah, knowing that they came over for a better life. Yeah, so
did you go to uni after college?
Yeah, so I went to the University of Auckland.
And your parents supported that or wanted to go that direction?
Yeah, so it was going to university was a very big deal in my family. I think for any Pacific family, it's a big deal, especially in early 2000s. I guess it was quite a big deal. I mean, every time my dad would be like, gotta study hard so you can go to uni, and I don't think I met anyone who didn't have a parent who said not to go to uni. Do you know what I mean? It was like it was kind of the end goal, I guess you could say, for some of these parents that move over. So I was thankful enough and blessed to go to university.
And what were you studying when you went?
Yeah, so I was studying, I double majored in sociology and political studies. Yeah.
So at that time, were you thinking that you might end up working in a library or do something different?
Unfortunately, and this is not a knock at like any parents, but unfortunately, being a librarian is not exactly the job, I guess, that they envision their children to do. It's more being a lawyer or a doctor, I guess you can say. Which I guess because they're seen to have the big salary or the high status or whatever, librarianship was never in the picture. It was more, because I think I had always wanted to be a lawyer since I was 15, 16. But I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't even get to part 2. So, so that plan went out the door. But now things find its way. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that journey, coming from the Pacific into the library world?
Yeah.
And I can't imagine there'd be a lot of Pacific Island, people coming through the university system going on that track.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In my experience, I've never met anyone who is Pacific that's studying librarianship or information management, but I just haven't. Which is interesting because a couple of my friends that I remember going to uni with are now in libraries, but they originally studied things like health science or I'd say one of my friends who's working in South Auckland, I think she studied health science and now she's a librarian at the Tupu Youth Library in South Auckland. Yeah, so I guess you could say it's kind of like a glorious accident. I guess you could say.
I like that. It's lovely.
Yeah, I guess you could say it's a glorious accident.
So you finished university, and then how did you kind of find yourself in the world of libraries?
Well, yeah, so I was studying. I went into postgrad as soon as I graduated from undergrad. Just went straight into postgrad, and while I was studying postgrad, I worked at the medical library, the Filson Library in the University of Auckland at the medical school.
Was your postgrad information management?
No, it was in sociology. Huh. Yeah, so so I've just found it as a part-time job at the time, but over time working, and I have to give a shout out to my old manager, Megan Clark. I think she was a mentor for me because she really encouraged me to, get into library studies. Yeah, and she really believed that I would definitely not only enjoy it but contribute greatly to it. Yeah, so I have to thank her for I guess planting a seed, I guess you could say. Yeah. But that was, I only just had seen that as part-time.
Yeah.
And then I got a job in Wellington, as an executive assistant in Parliament. And because I was studying politics, I thought, okay, I'm set. Like, this is my path. But unfortunately, one, I wasn't good at it. And two, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, so after a year working there, I had left, went to Auckland to recover.
Yeah.
If I can say that. Yeah.
And most people who leave Parliament go somewhere to recover.
Yeah. Well, and I think that year in Auckland, I think I wasn't in a good state of mind, but also I just felt, what next? Because, unfortunately for me, I had rolled the dice on this one path. And then, funny story, the day I resigned, my wife called me, who was my girlfriend at the time. She called me, she was working in Sydney. She called me and said, hey, hope you're well. I've got a job interview with Victoria Uni. Huh. And and I said, oh, damn, I just resigned from my job. And she said, oh, great. So to be honest, I was hoping she wouldn't get it. But, because I wanted to move to Sydney. Oh. But she got the job and she moved to Wellington and I moved up to Auckland. So we had been doing long distance. We had been doing long distance for 2 years. Yeah. So, but that year just recovered well and then moved back to Wellington to join her. And then a job for Hutt City Council as a library assistant popped up. And I just applied for it, and I would say that's where I really decided, yeah, this is it.
What made you decide that this was it? I mean, what are the things that you really enjoyed, or that you thought, yes, this is for me?
Yeah, I think after probably a couple of months, I figured, well, so I got hired a month before Samoan Language Week, and my manager said, look, Samoan Language Week's coming up. Do you want to do something? And I said, I don't really know what to do. Like, I've never done this before. And she said, well, let's just read some stories, like, you know. And I was like, you know, to be honest, Liz, my manager's Liz Castle. Yeah, shout out to her. I've never read to kids before. Like, yeah. And she said, oh, that's right. We'll get someone from the children's department. They can teach you. And, they taught us. And this was like 2 days before before showtime. Like, yeah. So I think if it's still on Facebook, there's a video of my colleague Talele and I doing heads, shoulders, knees and toes in Samoan. Don't look it up, but
I will definitely look it up now.
But yeah, that's there, yeah. And that was after like receiving a lesson and because to be honest, I thought, oh, it's just reading a book to kids, you know. But there's really a lot of acting involved and a lot of, you know, these are kids that, you know, you have to entertain, because otherwise, you know, they'll come away with like, oh, that wasn't a great experience. So yeah, no, I think from what I understand, before my manager asked me to get involved in Samoan Language Week, I would say the way the library had gone about with language weeks had not been as engaging as it should have been. So it was more, they would just put a poster on the wall and some books, and that was really it. And yes, there would be some story times, but they were done by non-Pacific people. So yeah. But I really thank my manager for really, because I think from there I thought, actually, you know, like, there is a gap, and I feel that I can fill that need.
Do you feel that some of the kids or researchers in general engage more when they come in, if they're Samoan or Pacific, and then see someone behind the desk like yourself?
I feel that, so do you mean when customers come in and they... Yeah, I do feel like there's a sense of, I guess you could say, trust, I guess. But I mean, not even because I'm Samoan, but also like I've even had customers come in because and they like seeing a man behind the desk. Okay. Yeah. I think,
and a young man.
Yeah. And no, it was quite. I think you establish. I think for me, when a customer comes in, you want to establish trust as well. But also, I do feel like, especially the children, because when the children see someone who looks like them, they're more willing to engage. So if I'm to go back in time, so my experience in libraries was a mixed bag, because I don't know. I feel like when working with kids, and especially those from homes that are struggling, or homes that are, whatever problems they have, I feel like I didn't get that kind of, I wouldn't say care, but like respect as well.
From the libraries?
Yeah, from the libraries as a kid, because and I guess thinking about it now, or when I was working at the time as a library assistant, the kids would be a pain, but to me, I thought, oh, that's karma for me, because I was actually a pain to the librarians as well when I was a kid. But that's because they never really got to know us, I guess, and they never really engaged with us. I think we were troublesome, but there just wasn't any engagement. It was more of a conservative way.
So you were there 4 years?
In Petone.
Yeah.
At Petone Library, I was there for about, I'd say, a year and a half. Yeah. And in that year and a half, there was such a worthwhile experience. I think when I was working in Parliament, I had this naive attitude that I would somehow be helping someone. But for me, it was more satisfactory engaging with people in person. Yeah, and also helping them read. Just a lot of kids came out of troubled homes, and sorry, I just get a bit emotional about it because it's. I feel like back then I wish I had that kind of person that could help me out. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and I think you're right. Libraries are very safe places.
Yeah, and I have this really bad I don't know if you call it a pet peeve, but I'm kind of frustrated when I hear library assistants, and I have heard library assistants say, we're not social workers. I mean, no one's asking you to be a social worker. Someone's just wanting you to be empathetic, and
share what you know.
Yeah, and I feel like, unfortunately, library assistants, in my opinion, are being undervalued, underpaid, and I feel like they really do a lot of good work. Especially with those, from who have issues at home and stuff. I feel like it's a make or break thing. I think for me, I'm quite fortunate because my parents kind of put that whole education is important thing into me. But some of these children don't have that at home, unfortunately, and maybe the library is a way where they could really come away being positive.
Well, we'd like to talk as libraries as communities or a community hub. But if we're always going to promote, both national libraries, public libraries, school libraries, all libraries, then we have to actually act that as well, don't we? So we're saying we put it out there that we are a community hub.
Yeah.
But then if they come along to the library, as you say, they've got to be accepted by the people inside the libraries as part of a community.
No, that's right. And, sometimes, I feel like if you don't do that, then the name National Library becomes a misnomer because you're not actually really taking care of the country as a whole, which is I guess a very important thing.
So how did you get from hut libraries to the National Library and the Alexander Turnbull Library?
So I think after working for a year and a bit, I thought I need to progress my career. So much to the dismay of my manager, she supported me in coming here. So I just saw it and Seek and just applied for it. I had been rejected in the past because and this is to establish I haven't actually finished my library studies, just to establish that, and I'm no way in any sense an information management expert, or you know what I mean. The first time I heard of the term Boolean was at Petone, and I'm like, what's that? But I'm glad that I got given the opportunity.
So did you see a big change in the readers or the clientele that were coming in? Because you've gone from a public schools and now, I mean, we get secondary schools here, but a lot more tertiary.
That's right.
A lot more academics, genealogists. So it's a different sort of group, a different community that's coming in.
No, that's right. So I've got 2 old colleagues from Hutt City who are working with services schools.
Oh, okay.
And I was just talking to them like, it's just really different, like not dealing with any noisy kids like anymore. And I do kind of miss that. But very different clientele, which I had to get used to. But no, I think just people in general, I'm happy to work with or work for anyone. Yeah.
I think it's also, what about the different collections that you're dealing with as well?
No, that's right.
Yeah, so here, what are there any things that you think that you've really enjoyed kind of getting to see or being involved with?
Yeah, I think just having a look at the catalogue, I didn't realise how many Pacific items there are here. And that's it's not a problem, but I think it's, many people don't really know what's here. Like, thanks to you, Sean, like the collection we got, the Klein collection we got from the Second Civil War in Samoa, I posted that on Facebook. If memory serves me right, I think over 100 likes.
Wow.
And a lot of my friends wanting to really come in and have a look because they themselves didn't know we have those kind of things here. And I even brought my wife's best friend to the library, and she was just astounded at what we have here. But as I said, not many people know that we have these items here.
No, that's one of the tricks, isn't it? Is you collect the material, and then it's you need to promote it and encourage the people to come in and to research it and make connections with it. I think that's where probably the second role, your latest role now, is really in that space, isn't it? With the virtual digital Pacific.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think for me, making items, making collections available or accessible is quite important to me. I think over the years, working in libraries, I've realized, just so many hidden gems that our people don't know about. And I think also I guess we're kind of in a state of trying to somehow reclaim those kind of stories and actually, which Digital Pacific really does a good job of is just allowing different content partners to, for us to display these content partners and for other people to gain access to them. Which I think is very important in this day and age.
What's your role with digitalpacific.org? What do you do?
Yeah, so I just harvest the metadata from our content partners. And
what does that mean?
Put it on. Yeah, I know. When I first, to be honest, I've never touched coding before, or this is like an aspect of the library that I've just started to explore, the digital side, and it's like learning another language, but also harvesting metadata. I'm basically just grabbing the data from those content partners and just putting it onto our website. Cool. So as I described it to someone in Australia, I'm basically getting the sepelu or the machete and just going in there, just grabbing some plants and just replanting it on our website. So cool. That's the kind of harvesting I'm doing. Cool. Yeah. And it's quite enjoyable. I thank Tim Hanna for actually being patient and teaching me the ways. and writing scripts and all that jazz. Yeah, I think I've described it one time as it's kind of like Brazilian jiu-jitsu in the sense that there are techniques, that you must do to get to harvest the data right, but also you have to beat the script, otherwise the script will beat you. So so yeah, in some ways it's I really enjoy this experience. Yeah.
Sounds like fun. If you were talking to somebody about being or kind of your career path or being in libraries, what do you wish you'd known before you started? Are there any things that you wish you'd known before you started?
How really technical it is. I did not realize how technical. Like the first paper I took so I'm currently doing a postgraduate certificate in information studies. I just didn't realize how jargon heavy information management could be, because back in the day I just thought, if I know where the book is in the Dewey Decimal System, then I know where to put it. All good. No, it's actually a bigger, how do you even decide what's in the decimal system? I don't know. It's just really technical, and even the idea of information as well is quite mind blowing actually. Yeah. So
I think it's probably one of the good things about being in the National Library is you see the full breadth of it. So you've got the cataloguers out one end doing the cataloguing, and then you've got the IT people doing your digital stuff, and then you've got research librarians, and then you've got archivists and curators collecting material, and you've got your outreach.
That's right.
So it's the whole gambit of what you can do in the library.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you see where you might want to go? You're obviously developing a good Pacific resume with your work here. Are you going to keep down that line, or do you think you might want to be a geek and go down the techie line?
No, I think for me, just focusing on the Pacific. So it could be from arrangement, description, or curatorial. It could be anything, just so long as it's Pacific focus. I think for me, yeah, and I think for me, trying to publicize it as much as I can as well, make it known what we have here.
So that kind of takes me to the question of how do you think libraries can meet the needs of the Pacific?
Yeah,
it sort of dovetails with what you've been saying. Are there things that libraries can do, public libraries and the National Library?
I think we're at this phase in our human history, and you hear the word decolonization, and I truly believe that's really the way to go, in the sense that I think it's very important to have I guess you could say, give respect to those stories and the history of the Pacific, and I think also letting us tell the stories of the Pacific as well, which I think
giving space as well.
Giving space. For me, and I know everyone just with the word, when they hear the word decolonization, they just they go into a ball, and I've also and I hear people it can go from a range of people getting turned off by it or people feeling uncomfortable to, unfortunately, I've heard that people joke about it it's not. I'm not a fan of. It should be taken seriously. That's my thing. So my idea of it is, it should be really represented in, from things like recruitment or collection policy, or I think starting from there and then going into what I view as re-indigenizing, which I feel like is the correct path to take, because once you sort out the structure, then you can really start to, let people reclaim their stories and have that space, but not to the point where it's tokenistic. It must be genuine. And I feel like that is one way of where libraries can help the Pacific, because if you think about it, the library is not a Pacific concept. Like, we did oral histories before it was a thing. And if you look at the Marshall Islands and their stick charts, they had navigated across the Pacific with these stick charts way before like maps were a thing. So I guess it's trying to adapt that concept of the library. And I think it's and I think Tim Kong, who's my manager, because he, in a sense, I think redefined especially how our website works. So the way we engage with content partners is not extractive, and I feel like that's been the problem. It's not always a Indiana Jones, this belongs in a museum, like, kind of thing. Like, it needs to be, a productive relationship where we don't just take like what the data you have and just slap it on a website, but rather engaging with a content partner in a way that we can share the stories together, in a sense. I feel like that it's less extractive because of the way we engage with our content partners. And I think if you see, like, in the past, just the way, for example, items have been in other institutions have been taken and not, and that's a whole nother can of worms,
So I think the thing with Digital Pacific is that you are amplifying. So I'm sort of you're amplifying the content that the content partners has for Pacific communities, so that they can see their things separate from all the other things.
That's right. And also I feel like I got to be honest, like, half of these content partners I'd never heard of before until we actually spoke to them. And I feel like they've been really open and really I feel like they've been the feeling that I get is that they're excited that there is actually a website that does this.
And that their Pacific collections can be enjoyed and shared with the Pacific community.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, we're still building the website, and there are a couple of functions we're wanting to put in to continue that non-extractive banner. So I'm not sure if I could say them on now, but you will see them on digitalpacific.org. But I really do feel like it reflects that kind of. I feel like it's a Pacific way, because even if you look at Pacific ways of sustainability, and the philosophies we have around, taking what you need and giving it back to nature, like it's really weird. Like, some, I don't know. I don't know how it just. Me thinking about it as just some website, just like open these like discussions and these thoughts about like how it relates to Pacific spirituality and sustainability.
Absolutely.
It's powerful. It's powerful.
It is powerful.
It's mind-blowing stuff.
And it helps us too. I mean, we get collections in like that if we can digitise them, gives us the drive to digitise them. So it can then go into your virtual digital Pacific.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I think it's about what you're saying. It's about making space.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's a space.
For those two. Yeah, I think how I've seen it is it's a bridge. Yeah, definitely a bridge. And with visibility and accessibility, there must be responsibility. So you must be responsible to your content partners and really do justice by the content they create.
It'll be interesting with the new curriculum, history curriculum, which is going into schools, and how the Pacific is represented. So talking about decolonisation, it's like, well, what part of their story is now going to be captured within this new curriculum?
That's right.
And how is it going to be presented? You're saying it's not an extractive model, but it'd be interesting to see how it is portrayed alongside the other parts of New Zealand history that are being looked at for that.
Yeah, that's right. And I've been grateful to contribute to that book. So
great.
Yeah.
What are you curious about right now, Ulu?
I'm curious at how, I guess you could say, how the sector progresses into the future. I think it's important. I mean, God, who knew 2016 would be the year that, every sector kind of, is turned on their head, with this whole post-truth thing, or, that kind of, and I think in our industry, like, information, like, that's the core of our industry, and how we protect it, and also how we give space to those who are underrepresented. Yeah, I'm just really, curious and fascinated on how the industry as a whole would, I guess, go with the future, I guess, or would it progress? Would it stay in its old ways? Who knows?
And if you've got, some people out there listening to this who may want to follow in your footsteps for Pacific Island, what would you advise them? What tips can you give them if they want to pursue a career in librarianship?
Yeah, I feel like, well, not even librarianship, I feel like in the GLAM sector. So for those who are not familiar, I think, galleries, libraries, archives, museums. I think if you're really fascinated with the history of our people and really genuinely want to tell the story of our people and share it, then I feel like go for it. Like, I think I've come to a point, and I don't mean to like take this conversation to a personal level, but I think I've been quite content with where I'm working and what I'm doing for the community. I think, that 1 year spent, in Parliament, I guess, I think for me, my mindset was, it's a pretty flash title, like it's pretty cool just to drop it in a social setting. But really, it's self-serving, basically. But I think for me, I mean, there's a proverb in Samoan called, it goes, Ole alo le pule o le tautua. So that means, basically, it means to lead is to serve, and I feel like, if our people are to lead, then we must serve our own people and really, really tell our stories. And, I thank people like you, Sean, for example, for giving that space as well. It really is hard to find allies. It can be difficult because there are really those who are genuine and those who are only doing it just to tick a box. I think working here has been really good. So.
Well, we're proud to have you here. It's certainly a big asset for the library, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you got any last thoughts? It's your last chance.
My last thoughts. I think for me, it would be, and this is kind of, it's regurgitated a lot, but I really do feel like yeah, I didn't come here alone. Like, I think my parents, you know, if it wasn't for them, I feel like if it wasn't for Ms. Ware, who was the school librarian, or even my best friends in primary school, who were nerds as well, you know, just reading. And I think I've been grateful in this industry, like, to not have a bad, like, not a bad manager, but like to have a mentor, because I think, so in my experience in Filson and Petone research team, like, and Digital Pacific, I've been really grateful to have mentors as managers. And I feel like, and I know it's not the same as reading, like, you know, reading out of a book, but I feel like that mentorship really helps. And I feel like, you know, if there were opportunities and avenues where Pacific people can get some sort of mentorship, like, just some random story, like, you know, Trish Beamsley, who's the research librarian in Māori, she brought in a student from Nainai College to have a look at the library. Yeah, so, and I think the student was thinking of going into librarianship. And I feel like you just need that kind of spark, like, to really get involved in this sector. Yeah, so
space,
mentorship,
and telling stories, telling your own stories.
Yeah, that's right. And honestly, I'm truly grateful. Like, I don't know, like, it's like a glorious accident. I don't know, but
sometimes the universe is like that.
It is.
Yeah, or for the Catholic in me, like, you know, the rapper Drake said, you know, God's plan. So I don't know, just, you know, it was just meant to be, I guess. But no, I'm truly grateful for those who mentored me on the way to this library.
I'm sure you'll get a chance to be a mentor as well.
Yeah.
So.
We'll look out for the work you're doing on Digital Virtual Pacific.
Yeah.
And keep an eye on those collections.
Yeah.
Okay, well, soifo ulu.
Yeah, no, soifo. Thank you so much, Whaftai.
Yeah, kia ora.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for another episode of the Library Loudhailer. A shout out to our sound engineer Jay Busenberg, our producer Aaron Wanoa, and to you, our wonderful audience. Join us again next month for more audio stories from the library. To see us out, we're playing a song from the Archive of New Zealand Music. This song is from our favourite Samoan Kiwi band here at the Loudhailer. It's the Kyle Isles from their 1961 debut album, which was recorded at the Jive Centre in Auckland. Ka kite anō.